Valérie, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I should say, I'm really excited because I really like the film. I should say, love the film. So everyone in our media was exciting for this interview. So
Great.
Can't wait to ask you some questions.
Cool. I'm really happy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and it was a super film, and I should say, you bring something incredible to the role, like some nuance in a deeply hard, tragic story. So it was really refreshing to have some nuance, some style, some precision in this role. My first question, so can you tell us the beginning of this adventure with Seule la vie in French, the title of the movie?
Well, it actually started 6 years ago. I met Adrian Goiginger, the director, at the Berlinale in Berlin. And it was just a general meeting. He just wanted to get to know me. And we sat together. And then out of nowhere, he told me later that he didn't have a pitch, but he really wanted to work with me. And then he was like, so actually there's this story about a woman who loses her whole family and she's also a clown and da-da-da. And I said, yeah, okay, that sounds really interesting. Send me a script whenever you have one, because there was no script yet. And I think 2 years later, I got a script. And then from there, we just kept, talking about the script, talking about the character and all this. And then it came to be that, 1.5 years ago, we shot the movie.
Get out of the way, get out of the way, old and temporary, you're too late to get yourself. Get out of the way, old and temporary, you're too late to get yourself.
Du, da war ein Unfall mit einem Clownbus.
Was, wie Unfall? Diese 3 Menschen waren alles andere als perfekt. Aber genau deshalb war das Leben so schön mit ihnen. Liebe Freunde, ich bin am Leben und möchte Teil des ganz normalen Lebens bleiben. Ich war in der Disco. Darf ich das nicht? Doch.
Fast. Machst du das den ganzen Tag?
Ja, wer denn sonst? Du kannst jederzeit gehen, gell?
Willst du, dass ich gehe?
Reading the script.
I was very touched by what Senatali Basic, the scriptwriter, did to really combine the 2 poles that this story circles around. On the one hand, you have this incredible grief and sadness and depth, and on the other hand, you have the clown world, and you have the family world, the love story, and also this essence or this aspect of how art can save lives. That kind of became our main focus in the movie and also in the development of the script for Senat. It was very important that this idea, or also this fact that art can save lives, was very present throughout the whole movie. And that was something that I really loved and where I felt I could connect to a lot. And I loved how, I just got really excited as an actress because I felt like, okay, this is a lot where I can dive into, and I'm really happy to, explore all these extremes.
Yeah, this kind of, it seems like it's a hard story, and you were telling me it's really interesting to go deeply in this kind of character. So it's a very interesting character to develop and work with it. How did you prepare for this role?
I mean, it's First, what was great is that Barbara wrote a book. You know, there's a novel that the script is based on, that she wrote pretty shortly after that happened. And this book really helped me. It served kind of as an inner monologue that I could have. You know, it kind of was written what she felt in every moment. So that helped a lot. And then it is mostly for me, when it comes to the emotional scenes, it is not so much preparing the emotion or whatever, because I think you can't really do that, but more the circumstances that the character is in. In that case, it was, you know, to really get into having this family, having the kids and the husband, and to have really present what I have, so that then in the moment on set, when I lose it, when everything is gone, I could, you know, I don't have to pressure my emotions, but just because of the mere fact of being so immersed in the family life, and all of a sudden you don't have it anymore, to really, it just comes, you know, then you really just feel the loss and you feel how that is gone. So that was, I think the most important thing about the loss was actually working on what I have, so that then the moment I lose it, I could really resonate with it. And then the other thing that I had to prepare for was the clown. Because, and actually I was much more scared of the clown than the emotional sphere of the movie, because I have never done it and I thought I'm not funny and I can't do this. And so it was really, I also told Adrian, you know, if this is a movie, like it's very hard to be a clown in a movie, I felt, because it's very big, a clown in a way, you know, and I was like, if we can't, you know, if this doesn't work out, let's find another way. But I had a clown coach, a French clown coach actually, who really took away this fear from me. And I remember the first lesson that I had with him, he kind of told me, you know, you already have everything. It's okay, like you are enough, because what is so important with clowns is that it's not about the perfect performance. It's not about, you know, being great or perfect. It is the opposite. It's about embracing all your flaws, embracing your insecurities. And that was really something that helped me so much with my acting, which is a lot sometimes about, you know, precision, about doing the right thing, about building, you know, a character. And there it was really about embracing that. And also in my personal life, it helped me because it was a great lesson of self-love. Yeah.
So you work actually really differently with you told me that working clown class was about like finding your own self and liberating from in some extent, yeah.
Exactly. So it was really about letting go. It was really about just embracing who you are. And even though I built, so the clown that we see, it is inspired by Barbara's clown. So it's not fully my clown, because we wanted aspects of Barbara's clown in it. We also said in the preparation, because I told Adrian, you know, what I know about clowns is it's very important that it's real and authentic. So if I can't really do Barbara's clown, then let's find my own. But in a way, we found a mix of the two. So for example, Barbara's clown, she talked, you know, Swiss German with a Swiss accent. So I did this, and also she's very strict. And we kind of found these elements that then I did, and kind of found this clown that's a mix between my own and Barbara's.
That's really interesting, because you're saying like you're an actress playing an actress, so you have to find the limits between you and the character, who's a real person that inspires you. Did you exchange with her? Did you? Yes.
I met her not too early, because because of this fact that it's a real person that is still alive. First, I was a bit afraid or had a lot of respect, you know, of that. And on the other hand, also, we never wanted to impersonate her. You know, it was not about impersonating her as a person, but more finding the essence of her character, of that kind of archetype. You know, so it was really important for me first to find that and find my way through the script also, because in the end the script is different than a novel, you know, so I also had to find my own path there, and wanted to do that on my own first, so that then when I meet her, I could really, you know, I wouldn't fall into trying to kind of, you know, crawl into her, or, you know, taking her almost like using her as a source. I didn't want that because it felt like such a personal story that I wanted to keep a distance there. But then the moment I did meet her, it was so wonderful because we could kind of meet, we were met as two women collaborating on the same project, and it was so wonderful because we talked for 6 hours and just talked about our lives, and it was great to see. When I met her, I really understood, this thing of what she has is the ability to see the world in a different way, to, even though something that horrible happens to you, you can also choose to also see the light, the joy, the love. And that is also something that she said herself, that working as a clown helped her, because that's also what clowns do, they take on a different perspective on things. And I also had that experience when I walked, in preparation, I also accompanied clown doctors. And it's really incredible how, you come into a room in the hospital, which is full of sadness, illness, grief, but they make it look different, it seems like all of a sudden you see the colors, they use objects in a different way, and there is all of a sudden the room is still the same room, there's still sadness there, we don't negate it, but also we see the other side that is also always there. And I think for Barbara, she said that this really helped her, to take on a different perspective. And it also made me realize that this is not something that she's just born with and she's so lucky to be so resilient. It is really something that lives in all of us and that we can unlock, that everyone has the ability to step aside and look at what has happened to you in a different way.
So that's really interesting because in the film, I tried to make a bridge. Follow me.
Yeah.
But you talk about like maybe escaping the past and living the present moment. That's what we were talking about, like a clown in a hospital.
Yeah.
It's see the present in another way.
Yeah.
Switching angles to maybe to come back and reconnect with the present and living life.
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
not being stuck in the past, actually.
No, exactly. It is really about also accepting where you are. So also in the movie, in a way, for a moment, Barbara tries to achieve something, she tries to get her daughter back. And this sometimes, wanting something, having a strong desire gives us a lot of hope, gives us meaning, gives us direction in life, and that's great. But also it can be very stiff, or you sometimes you don't reach these things. Sometimes desires stay unfulfilled. And I think that for me is also a big message of the movie, that to accept where you are and to be fine with that, and to accept what is and not try to fight it, and that there is actually such a strength and beauty in kind of sitting with where you are, even though it's extremely painful. But in that moment that you accept that, you're free, you become free in a way, and you can let grief go because you accept and you're okay with where you are. And I think that's very important. I feel like in our society, we're so goal-driven in a way, which is great, but sometimes life isn't like this. Not everyone achieves everything they want or whatever. And I think it's a very good exercise almost to learn to be okay with what is.
So it's not about searching for happiness, it's about accepting, going through this process, painful and dramatic process, but it's emotion, so we have to accept and living it.
Exactly. Because you can't go around it, they're there, you have to go through it at some point. Of course, it can be with a bit of a delay, there's certainly also in our movie, in our story, and in Barbara, there was an emotional delay also in her experience. First she was kind of protected by some kind of shock and protected by the feeling that she's very close to her family. She also said that after, when all the three of them had died, she also felt like she was a bit there with them, she didn't feel separated from them. And she said that this helped her in the beginning, but later on, of course, there also came the grief, and you can't really escape it. At some point, you have to accept it and sit with it.
Yeah, because that's also this character is a woman who lives a tragedy, who is going apart from society, and she's slowly drifting
Yeah.
away because she is rejected by lots of people. Actually, she lives a tragedy, and also she lives something more painful than being a part of society.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the movie.
Yeah. I think that is a reality that many people who grieve experience, because we have put death very far away from the center of our society. So for many people who grieve, there is this sense of isolation that they feel, you know, that because the grief is something that no one wants to deal with on a daily basis. But people who grieve deal with it on a daily basis for quite a long time, and maybe they're all their life. And this isolation, I think, is what makes it harder to deal with the grief. And that is also, you know, what Barbara said or wanted with her letter that she wrote. She wanted not to be left alone. She wanted to still be part of society. She wanted to, not be left behind or alone. And I think dealing with this, that is a reality, you know, that for some people it's too much, or even her way of dealing with grief is people don't understand and they think it's wrong, even when there is not one way to grieve. You know, there are as many people as there exist in the world, as many ways of grieving there are, you know, and any way of grieving is allowed. And I think that's also what that movie talks about.
Yeah, because it's her way, it's a personal way to deal with it, and it's a path that she has to go to deal with it, so it can be strange, huh? But this film is not only a drama.
No.
There's also comic and light side on this film. Can you tell us about this part? Because at the basics, just before watching it, I was thinking like, oh, it's a hard subject, but watching it, there's some light and some comedies and some... There's also life itself.
Yeah.
It's not about like only sadness. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think that was very important for us in the making, because Barbara's experience and also her book talks exactly about that, you know. On the one hand, you have the sadness, you have the grief, you have this overpowering, incredible event. But on the other hand, there is always also light, and there is joy, and it never is gone. It's always there, and you just have to find ways to unlock it in a way, which is something that the clown does. And for me personally, during the shoot, it was great too, because, you know, of course it was very hard, and I had a lot of very difficult days. But then I also had these days with the family. I had these days as a clown that I was kind of moving between the two extremes. And even though that was difficult sometimes to switch, but on the other hand, it was great too, because I had a day with the family, and then the other day I was alone in the house on my own, grieving them. And the cool thing was that because I've experienced the day before them with them, I could, there was the memory, and I could think about them. And it also helped me to not fall too much into all this darkness, but to kind of keep... It almost was what the movie is about, it helped me to always see also the beauty and the light and the laughter and the humor. Yeah.
And what's your most memorable moment of the shooting these films?
There are so many, but I guess I would have to say the funeral. Shooting the funeral was really exactly that, because there you had this, grief and almost this ritual also of the society of death and grief. And on the other hand, you have the clowns, and you have the lightness, and you have the celebration of life. So there's really life and death at the same time, and also the contradiction of your own way of dealing with death, society's way of dealing with death. And while everyone was crying, Barbara was fine. And so in a way, this scene was probably the least, even though it was an emotional scene, but it was very interesting for me to be in this context of sadness and grief. But myself, I was not. And that was really, really very special to experience that.
Yeah, you should say like it's a weird moment, but what was your feeling in this exact scene?
I think what I was connecting to in that moment was something that Barbara was talking about too, that, you know, that when all of them were dead, she also felt very close to them, and she almost felt, she understood the oneness of the world in a way. That's why she wasn't sad, you know, she understood that they're not really gone and she's also there just as much as they're here. And this oneness gave her this really strength throughout these first weeks. And I think that's also something that I felt it was also a day because it was sunshine and also gray. Like there was kind of everything at once that day. And then there's, you know, you see the funeral, you see the cimetière, and then you also see the clowns walking in between. And it was really, I really had this intense feeling of, you know, the simultaneously so many things are present in the world all the time. There's always light and darkness and laughter and sadness, and there's not one thing. And that's something that I felt a lot on that day.
You had the sense of living really intensely the things. But it's really interesting. Cinema sometimes can be a really interesting experience. I should say, like sometimes there's an alchemy, you know, alchemy,
right,
between director, acting, script, and it can generate some beautiful moments. That's what you felt with this film. You had this sense of everything's going perfectly, and
no, definitely. It was really, especially the collaboration with Adrian and Senat, the scriptwriter and the director. It was really a wonderful fusion of these three forces, you know, because we were working so closely together beforehand already on the script together. And then during the shoot, Senat, the scriptwriter, was also on set for a few days every now and then. And also with Adrian, we talked about it every weekend. We would go through the whole upcoming week, and, you know, we were really working so closely together, and also really letting whatever development happened throughout the shoot, we let that happen, you know. We were not bound to one path. It was more like we allowed whatever was happening to be there. And that's, for me, that's the best way of collaboration. And it's the most, you know, as an actress, it's always so satisfying. I also had that when I worked with Terrence Malick, where I realized in the first week or second week of shooting, like, oh, I can actually contribute. Like, I can tell him things that I would like to improvise, or that I would like to try, or that I've came to realize what my character maybe needs or whatever. And for me, this is so satisfying to work like this, you know, where you can truly create with the director and or the scriptwriter while shooting. It's the best.
it's like preparing a set
Yeah.
and preparing a context. To
Exactly.
be free in it, and
Exactly.
start working, and start.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know, you're very dedicated to the story. You know, we never left the story, but also it was always clear that we wanted to create something new. That it had to be, you know, it's going to be a movie. It had to be also, it had to kind of has its own core in a way, and that is exactly what happened. You know, we had this beautiful story, and then out of this, the movie could kind of flourish, and yeah.
No, it's a living matter.
Yeah, it's
can,
true. It's
actually,
really a bit of a living. It's true. Yeah, I think so. But movies, because also, you know, with all my wonderful co-stars that I had, it was really a movie a set where everyone was so dedicated to the story and was so in love with the story and had so much compassion for the story, that everyone was so tender with it and so cautious and so serious while also being playful. But, you know, everyone wanted to do it right in a way. And that's the best, you know, when everyone who comes on set everyone involved also, hair and makeup and costume, and everyone was so kind of drawing, you know, everyone was contributing to the story, and the story kind of sucks you in but also leads you, and you just give, and then the story kind of does its own thing. That's how I experienced it, and I love when that happens on set.
Yeah, that means you don't feel working.
No, yeah, it's very playful. You feel like playing almost, while you still feel very, it feels like purposeful also, you know, in a way. And yeah, that's the best.
That's so cool. I think that's a perfect way of describing the film, because
Yeah.
it's hard, it's almost a tragedy, but it's also really lighted.
Yeah.
It's really living. And across the movie, you see this kind of woman who finds her own, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
And I won't spoil the end,
Yeah.
because it's really interesting, because it's really sets up payoff. So it's really working on the film.
Yeah.
I have, maybe we are having to the finish of this interview,
Yes.
but I have a last question. We have a tradition, we have a tradition in our media. Can you describe your film, this film, in one word?
In one word.
Yeah. And you can explain it afterwards, but
Yeah. One word. I have to think about that term, because yeah, I guess I would say transcendence.
so nice.
I think transcendence, because it, for me, on the one hand, transcendence because of death, you know, because there is this transition of death, but there's also a transition in the character from, you know, being held in this world of like her family and so on, and she kind of becomes her own, and so she kind of transcends into this new being. And also what we've been talking about, this thing of there is, you know, life and death, there is sadness and laughter, there is there's this feeling, there's of everything is present at the same time and can be there at the same time, and that for me has a transcendental force in a way, to go from one thing to the other and mix it.
Even after the most tragic events,
Yeah.
life is still there.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
About transcendence. Actually, thank you very much for this
Thank
interview.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Perfect.